Paul wrote this letter to the Corinthian church in order to address a host of problems that were facing the Corinthian church. I believe that if there was a who's who among Christian churches, I think the Corinthian church would be in the number one list. Because they were a very popular church, a mega church during their day. They had problems from without, but they were also plagued with problems from within. In fact, as you read this letter, if you read 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians, and if you happen to find 3 Corinthians, let me tell you about it. Apparently, he had more than just 2 of these letters. But as you read this letter, you get the feeling that Paul himself is under so much stress in trying to set this church into some sort of order and stability. He was struggling with this church. He was struggling for this church. You would think that this would be an easy church. They're rich. They have resources. They have people. They have volunteers. They had activities. Their calendar was full. They probably had a very good place that they met at. They had a Starbucks in their church. I could just imagine, what this church was like. And all the top-notch people were there. Great speakers, great teachers, just a lot of amazing stuff going on. But he had the worst time trying to set this church in order. He was also stressed out. Why? Because they were always looking for the next super apostle. They were looking for someone bigger and greater. Is there anyone greater than Paul that we can invite? We've already heard Paul a few times. He's great and all that, but is there someone more so that we can have top billing, And they were in that kind of mode, and Paul was just, it was like birth pains. He was trying to birth this baby who was 30 years old. All right? It took 30 years to get this church into some sort of order. And here they were. And honestly, there were so many reasons for Paul to just say, forget you guys. Just forget you. Why? Anyway, you already have a church, you have a board, you have pastors, you have more than enough. You have resources. What do you need me for? There's every reason for me to just finally give up on you guys and just say, forget about you. I'll focus on the other people because you have been the most stubborn-hearted, the most unteachable group of people. Does that remind you of somebody? You! Don't start thinking of someone else again. Okay? The bottom line was his authority was being questioned. So he would have said, forget this. I'm just going to let this go, move on to the next church. But you know what? He didn't. Rather than give up, he was consumed by a deep sense of obligation to God because of the love that God has shown him in Christ. He was on a mission. You see, even though this church was Christian, not every person in the church was Christian. See, this was his problem. This was his dilemma. You have pastors in the church who are not Christian. You have board members in the church who are not Christian. You have teachers in the church who are not Christian. Pastor, what do you mean by that? Well, they were Christian in every other sense of the word. They did Christian things. But in their hearts, they did not embody what Christ is supposed to manifest in our lives. They were not manifesting any fruit at all. Because somebody was saying, well, I'm better than this guy, and this guy is better than that guy, and they were all just being worldly. See, a lot of people think that, I'm evangelistic pastor, I just want to go out there into the world, and I want to find people who need to be saved. Just look at the church. It won't take too long to find someone who needs to be saved in the church. Because while we go to church, we are not yet the church.